Hello, good afternoon, and sorry, let me turn that off for a second. Good afternoon, and welcome to the live trading hour, which is brought to you by the Live Trade Room, where we'll be looking across these markets as we enter the US trading session. So we'll get US capital coming in, we'll see where the opportunities lie, and we'll look to see if we can position ourselves accordingly. And we've got some interesting market conditions at the moment, so let's get in and explain them as best we can. Please take a brief moment, as always, to just familiarize yourself with the risks involved in trading the financial markets. So our risk warning is currently up on screen. So the first thing we do, every time we get to our trading desk, of course, whether it's the European Open or the US Open, is sorry, that's not correct, I don't think. Yeah, so let's begin, as we always do, with a review of market moving news. So for this, we're going to bring up our FOREX calendar. So today, Tuesday, 27th of July. So the only major news we have today is consumer confidence figure impacting the US dollar. So of course, if consumers are quite confident, then it lays down the floor for I suppose a positive sentiment about the economy. People are more likely to spend more cash. Retail sales were likely to increase, and it has just a positive impact across the sector. And it's all off the back of consumer confidence. So that's a figure that we'll have to deal with at 3 p.m. So if you do see some reaction in the dollar, it very well may be consumer confidence related. We're expecting decent numbers. We're looking at 1, 2, 3. And this is a survey, as you can read down here. It's a survey of 3,000 households, which asks respondents to rate the relative level of current and future economic conditions, including labor availability, business conditions, and overall economic situation. So it'll be a good little gauge to see how things are performing. We get a lot of many of the other headlines across many other areas. Manufacturing services are all performing quite well. There is a bit of slack in the labor force in the US, so it's one of the main things that the Fed will be looking very carefully at. And bearing that in mind, tomorrow we've got the FOMC. So what we often can experience between now and then is a little bit of sort of hesitation. So we're entering summer market conditions, which is can often be quite a challenging thing to do. So do bear that in mind. Certainly over the month of August, we're actually taking time off in August ourselves. So we're advocates of making sure that we have breaks as well, and try to take a bit of time off from just studying markets all the time. And August is a really good month to do this, so we do recommend people to take a break around the August time, and we're likely to see some very significant moves between September and December. So we're expecting a very volatile end to the trading year. Okay, so not much news today. Consumer confidence at 3 p.m. and really the major news for tomorrow is the FOMC tomorrow evening. So we've got some decisions to make in terms of what we're going to look for and where the opportunities lie. Just to comment on the 10-year Treasury note, we're seeing a yield of 1.25, so really significantly off the 1.75 which we reached back in March, April time now. And this is very supportive of US indices markets, and that's really what we were discussing yesterday, or should I say last night, with our trade plan session every evening. The only opportunities that really came from that session as a result of the opportunities in these markets was within the US indices markets. Oh, sorry, let me go back to the euro dollar. Another thing to just comment upon, and it's more indicative of the time of year, which is that the volatility is significantly lower than certainly normal conditions. But from last night's webinar, all we were really looking for was to see whether we would get some continuation above yesterday's high around the 42. Yeah, it was the 44.24 level. So it's really to see, would we get prices actually continuing higher? And there's a bit of negative news overnight in China with the Chinese government looking to put some sanctions in place, and it's impacting many of those who operate within the Chinese borders, and it's just rattled certainly Asian markets. They were really sort of quite negative. If we just look at the US markets first, the Dow Jones, for example. So we're very much at all-time highs in these markets, and we're actually just waiting for some further continuation above yesterday's high. So there might be some opportunities there. But if we look at European, there was a significant selling in the first part of the trading day, and the yen, the Nikkei as well, is taking this little rollover to the downside. So the positivity is potentially in the US indices, and we've got some potentially some market signals that are kind of reversing off the lows. So will they become buying opportunities? We'll wait and see. The quality of the setups are not fantastic, but we've had risk off market conditions, and they look like they're beginning to turn a little bit more risk on. So there still seems to be this appetite for risk. So now we sort of take that analysis over to the dollar pairs. If we're in a risk on market condition, we'd expect a bit of dollar weakness, and we've seen a bit of dollar strength for the majority of today. But now, as the US indices markets are turning, so too is the. Let me zoom in as far as I can. So what we can deduce from this little section in here over the last 2 weeks is that we are drifting sideways. So we're in this fairly tight, low volatile trading condition, and we're also below the monthly low, as you can see, just up at these highs up here. So this is a market which, if you look on the monthly time frame, that we'd expect further downside, and we're just running into strong support on the monthly time frame. So will this eventually turn around and start to roll back higher? That would be obviously a concern, and above the 118.30 could be an interesting buy trade in this, because we're almost rejecting to the downside. The only concern is it's about sort of 50 pips away from the monthly low. So the cleaner trade, when you're seeing this false breakout to the upside, there's your first opportunity, is probably when prices break back above the monthly high, because at the moment we would just assume that these prices are going to almost continue to drift sideways. So we've got that sideways moving pattern in the euro dollar. We've got kind of a pullback opportunity, or a bit of indecision up at these highs as far as the pound yen's concerned. So tomorrow, if this price rolls over to the downside, then there is your shorter term momentum trade to the downside. But right now, it's just it's procrastinating. It's not giving us any bit of clarity. The dollar yen has broken out of this, what was previously a bit of an uptrend, and now it's looking like we are entering this little downtrend phase, and certainly we'd expect a little bit of short-term sort of that flight to safety trade with capital flooding into the yen. Just very quickly, I'll just compare and contrast the dollar yen with the pound yen. So a little bit of you see, it's not very convincing price action, is it? But there's no doubt about it. Today we are seeing some yen strength begin to creep in, and also against the dollar. The dollar Swiss, we kind of want to see these markets close below the 91.30, so we're not quite there yet with the dollar Swiss. The dollar CAD would be an interesting trade. So this is like what we're seeing currently in the euro dollar, just inside this little zone in here. That's currently the current price action, and look what happened in the dollar CAD, obviously for different reasons, but we've had an explosive move to the upside off the back of this level here. We've had the pullback, and then we've had some extension moves. So really our analysis can, if we look at previous price action, which is all supportive of higher highs as this market's pushing higher, the natural sort of conclusion we can draw, if we start seeing a little bit of dollar strength come in, is a buy trade in the dollar CAD, for it to be in keeping with this more recent trend. So what we'd want to see is kind of what we're seeing is a significant bit of consolidation that sets that's the floor potentially for the next leg, which could be above the 126.06 level, and there could be a decent buy trade off the back of that. So one to watch this one, the dollar CAD, but we really need to be buying above the 126.06. We also have the 200 period moving average, so it would be good to be able to buy above that. So getting in just above that, and we'd have to look and see where the stop loss would be. It might be a little bit too long, perhaps like an 80 pip stop loss, but it would certainly be a very decent technical stop loss for the trade. But it's you've got a sort of maybe a 2-to-1 risk reward perhaps in a trade like this. So one to watch for sure, the dollar CAD. So we keep an eye on that one. The opportunities today, unfortunately, are kind of few and far between. They're not giving us much to work with. New Zealand, tomorrow might be a decent opportunity to look for a sell trade, and again we're really needing to see a little bit of dollar strength, and we've got the FOMC tomorrow evening. So are we likely to see it between now and 7 p.m. tomorrow? Probably not, and these are all UK times as well. The euro pound is just finding a little bit of support now at these levels. So this is horrible price action in the sense that we rolled to the downside, and then we reversed and broke back above the monthly highs, and now we're back down to the monthly low levels. So let me take a more accurate view of these. Let's delete a few of these then. So there we go. We've got the previous monthly highs and lows. So we broke to the downside, we closed, and we actually got a follow-through trade to the downside, but this bit of price action down here proved to be nothing more than a false breakout trade. So really a strong rejection of the downside, and then you just get this uncharacteristic where you actually get a strong rejection to the upside as well. So when we see price action like this, we kind of want to exercise a bit of patience on it, where we want to see some commitment either side, to the upside or to the downside, and at the moment we're not really getting that commitment just yet. Pound yen has the potential, if we get this rollover back below the 151.32, to see further downside. Today it doesn't look like it's the primed opportunity for that trade. Similar analysis, we're in this little downtrend pattern, so our bias is definitely to the downside, perhaps below these daily lows. The 129.50 level would give us the next leg lower, but prices are just a little bit off that as things currently stand. The gold market, I mean, what we can do is put a box around this little bit of price action in here over the last month, and apart from a false breakout to the upside, we're pretty much moving sideways between the 1819 level and the 1790 level. So we're talking about a $30 range in this market for a whole month. So again, that's quite low. Crude oil, we do like this market higher, but yesterday's price action, we can probably bring this level down just a little bit. And we're really struggling to get above that 72.21. Tomorrow's crude oil inventory numbers could be quite useful as well for crude oil to be able to push higher. And the S&P, we're looking for this market above the 44.23, and it's will we get that bit of price action? Will we get capital coming into the US indices, and will we start making new all-time highs? That is very much the question we need to ask ourselves. Bit of a rejection to the downside in markets like the FTSE. Same situation with the DAX. And we failed to stay below the 27,653 level before kind of reversing back above it. So a little bit of intraday consolidation. And then Bitcoin, we had a really strong move yesterday. It kind of tapered as the day unfolded, but today we opened up lower and is now reversing to the upside. So we're in this, it's probably the theme of these markets at the moment. We're in this kind of indecisive, range-bound bit of period. So sort of for us, really, the focus is really on a bit of patience. So with little to look at, we might have a look at the euro dollar. I'll tell you what we do. We put these. We've got 4 trades. So the euro dollar, the dollar CAD. The dollar CAD. Yeah, and then we've got crude oil, which we just put in here, and the S&P. So we can certainly monitor these on the daily time frames, because we're really not that eager to engage with these markets unless we break these decisive levels. So there is a technical failure to make a new low. So there's the low, and there's your marginally higher low. And then this would be a structural failure trade to the upside, which would also be supportive of a stock market that's going to roll higher as well. So the 118.30 to the upside. So let's put these levels in. We are in much lower volatility, and we're seeing less activity in these markets right now. Above 118.30, 118.30. Might just put this just in here. The only caveat behind this trade would be the fact that we've got strong resistance, which is not too far above it. So just be mindful of that on this trade. So looking for the buy trade, it would be a breakout buy trade. So that would represent a breakout buy trade as well. It's when you're moving, prices are moving sideways. So we're seeing a lot of consolidation, and then we're going to look for that breakout trade to the upside above the other reversal trade, however you want to refer to it, above the 118.30 level. Right, so now slightly higher for that buy trade is to 26.06. Okay, let's put this this level in here. It's the 44.23. So we're looking for that price action, and we can look at all of these on the daily time frame. So it looks like we could be getting close to an opportunity perhaps in the euro dollar. Very well may be short-lived with tomorrow's FOMC in mind, but certainly it would be an opportunity. The dollar CAD looks like it's reversing away from that 126.06 level. There doesn't seem to be much movement towards the 44.23, and we would need to see prices break above that level. This level can go above here now, because that's an all-time high where we're comfortably above those. Crude oil, which just want to be mindful of tomorrow's crude oil inventories, but it'll be above the 72.21, so a high probability breakout buy trade above the 72.21. So these are really the only opportunities to work with today, looking across all these markets. We don't even have any news out till 3 o'clock. So what we'll do is we'll wrap it up there, guys. That's going to be our trade plan. It may be a case where we have these on our screens and perhaps go and do some other things. It doesn't seem to be too many opportunities elsewhere. So really we're looking for potentially the euro dollar to start strengthening against the dollar potentially to strengthen against the CAD. So you could also look at the euro CAD. That might give you a decent opportunity as well. We want the S&P 500. We want the S&P 500 to actually break above that 44.23, which is an all-time high, but nonetheless it's probably worth looking at. And crude oil as well, if we do get that rollover above 72.21, that very well may be worth looking at as well. It definitely looks like it's one of these slower trading days, guys, so the volatility is really quite low today. And with tomorrow's FOMC, we might just get further consolidation between now and then. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll see where the opportunities lie. But right now, these are the only opportunities, and we're kind of working hard to kind of spot them. So we're going to watch these markets. Where if we look to get into a trade, we're going to look to post it through our signal service for our traders. However, if we don't get prices breaking above all of these levels and these prices, then unless there's a decent opportunity elsewhere, which we don't think there is right now, then we won't be trading for the sake of it. We're not going to be jumping into trades that don't really stack up for us. So we are more interested in high probability trading opportunities. Not every possible opportunity that pops up on the screen is that viable. Sometimes there's often a lack of clarity, a lack of a kind of understanding about what's going on. And in situations like that, we prefer to be a bit more patient. And almost instead of go chasing markets, we want the markets to come to us. So we've got these prices currently on screen where we want the market to move to those levels. And if it does, we're quite willing and happy to engage. And if it doesn't, then we're also equally happy to be patient. And just bear that in mind, we are trading summer markets. And that's the nature of summer markets, is that you can get a lot of activity in a relatively short period of time. And then you might get not an awful lot to work with for prolonged periods as well. So look, on that note, we'll be back again tomorrow around 12:30. So if you can join us for this session, hopefully we'll have some let's say more interesting opportunities to work with tomorrow. Today looks like it's one of those days. We might get some more activity sort of late afternoon, early evening. We don't know. We got the consumer confidence figure coming out at 3 p.m. So that might just sort of give the markets a bit of a boost. It does feel like they are waiting for the next kind of stimulus, and that very well may be the FOMC tomorrow night at 7. So look, on that note, thank you very much for joining us. Please do give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you can. We're taking some time off in August, but we'll be back in September. And we've got some lots of exciting live trade rooms to bring online as well. So for more information, just go to our website, thelivetraderoom.com. And if you need to speak to someone about learning how to trade the financial markets, then we can certainly help you with that. So look, from everyone here at the Live Trade Room, thanks for joining us. Let's see what we get today, and we'll be back again tomorrow at 12:30. So from everyone here, have a lovely afternoon. Thanks so much, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.